Hi everyone! I hope you're all having a great week. This week I'm painting a simple and easy watercolor desert landscape. I started my process by taping my watercolor paper to a piece of plexiglass, and then I added a wash of water over the top 2/3 of the surface of my paper. After I did that, I started to brush on a light wash of blue at the very top of the paper. I'm going to be creating a gradient of color here, so it's very important that my paper stays wet in the section I'm working in order for the colors to blend into each other. After applying the blue, I apply a little gradient of magenta, and I try to blend both into each other by working up and down on my paper. Next, I blend in a small amount of orange, and then I'll start to apply a small amount of yellow. Before this first layer is completely dry, I'll go back in to intensify my color, adding a little bit more pigment to each section. Once my sunset sky is completely dry, I can start to work on the landscape. Here I've created a relatively dark shade of purple to start creating my horizon line. Instead of just painting a straight line across the horizon line, I'm wiggling my brush a little bit to create the illusion of some distant desert rock. Once this distant horizon line is dry, I can start to work on my first butte. Since this feature is closer to the foreground in my landscape, I've created a slightly darker purple to start working on this feature. Here I'm starting to blend some light red into the purple because I want this color to be mixed into my darkest shade of color at the very foreground of my landscape. The last feature in my landscape is another butte that I'm painting dark purple mixed with some of that light red, and the color is very saturated, and I'm going to even paint it over once again once I'm done because I want this feature to be very dark so that it stands out as if it were in the very foreground of the landscape. I want the colors in my sunset sky to be a little bit brighter where it's supposed to be orange. And so I'm using a small round brush to add a few streaks of orange, and then I'll use a bigger round brush with just some water to blend it out. I let this area dry almost completely, and then using my big round brush and some water, I blended out those orange streaks that I just added to the sky. Now I'm going to work on darkening the foreground of my landscape. Using a black Posca paint pen, I'm going to start adding the silhouettes of some cacti and a few desert plants. As a final step in my painting process, I'm using a black pen to trace out the outline of the different features in my landscape. Once this final step is complete, I'm ready to remove my tape and my painting is complete. Thank you again for making the time to watch this video. I hope you have a wonderful week and happy creating!